begin our service now. We will first have military honors. I ask that you rise at this time. If you are currently serving in active duty, you may perform the hand salute. Also, if you've been honorably discharged from the military, you may perform the hand salute. Thank you. May be seated.
On behalf of the President of the United States Army, and a grateful nation, please accept this flag as a symbol of our appreciation for your father's faithful and honorable service.
מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. בינות אשר ירביצני על מי מנוחות ינחלני. נפשי ישובב, ינחני במגלי צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צאן מוות, לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי כוסי רוויה, אך טוב וחסד ירדיפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Friends, I've chanted for you the words of our 23rd Psalm. On these days, these moments when we are searching for comfort and solace, we often turn to the psalmist. And so I ask those of you who wish to recite these words with me to do so at this time. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember him. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember him. In the opening buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember him. In the blueness of sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember him. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember him. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember him. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember him. And when we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember him. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember him. So long as we live, he too will live, for he is now a part of us as we remember Jason Bleiweiss. To his children, Karen, Marilyn, and Ellie, and also to Sherman, Bruce, and Joe, and to his grandchildren, Alex, Michael, Devin, Jonathan, Camille, and Doug, and also to Kate, Anna Rose, Brian, and Elena, and to his great-grandchildren, Grant, and Carson, and Liam, and Willow, to his sister-in-law, Beverly, to his companion, Penny, and to all those who are gathered here. Today we also in our hearts lovingly remember his grandson, Justin, of blessed memory. But to friends and family, we are here today to remember, but also to celebrate the beautiful life of your beloved Jason. Our sages, in their wisdom, have taught us that birth is a beginning and death a destination, and life is a journey from childhood to maturity and from youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness, and often back again. From health to sickness, and back we pray to health again. From offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, and from joy to gratitude, and pain to compassion. From grief to understanding, and fear to faith. From defeat to defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey, stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage to life everlasting. Jason's journey, a journey of more than 93 years. It began here in Cleveland. He was born in 1924 to his Lithuanian immigrant parents, Fanny and Karl Bleiweiss. Jason and his older sister, Irene, endured many challenges throughout their earliest years. When Jason was just 11 months old, not even 1 year, his father died from exposure to mustard gas while serving in the United States Army during World War I. Jason and Irene's mother, Fanny, was a seamstress who, as a single mom, supported not only her 2 children, but also her parents. I'm sure that she was quite a remarkable woman. But she was a woman who was also, most fortunately, surrounded by a large, extended family. And Jason benefited greatly from the large and loving Barron and Bleiweiss families that surrounded him in his Cleveland neighborhood. And for Jason, who grew up without a father, his uncles and his older cousins were especially important to him. Jason and his cousins stayed close well into their adult years. Now, with all these challenges that Jason faced as a child and into his teen years, he still found the energy to remain a very bright and dedicated student. While attending John Adams High School, he was enrolled in their honors program. And one day when he went to the home of his best friend, Sidney Katz, to study, he met Sidney's younger sister, Laura. And from what I'm told, that was it. They met, and very soon they were certain that each of them was the other one's beshert, the one that was meant to be. It was love at first sight, and Jason was 2 years older than Laura. And when he graduated from John Adams, he matriculated to Case University, where he began his studies in chemical engineering. Jason's studies, however, were interrupted as he enlisted in the United States Army Engineering Corps. And it was here that he was assigned to help design and construct bridges in the Philippines. And while thousands of miles separated them, and almost as many love letters kept Jason and Laura connected, their courtship managed to stay strong for nearly 5 years. When Jason finally returned home from serving our country in February of 1946, they married almost immediately. Jason's buddy, Sid Katz, was planning on marrying Beverly. They were to get married quite soon, but when Bev saw how eager Laura and Jason were to marry, she gave the wedding dress that she was planning to wear to her future sister-in-law, Laura. And this act of great kindness by Beverly ensured that Laura and Jason would marry just a couple of weeks after his return home to Cleveland. The newlyweds made their first home with Laura's parents, Ida and Leo Katz. And Jason returned to his studies at Case, and he worked diligently to earn his bachelor's and then his master's degree in chemical engineering. Laura and Jason, throughout the years, enjoyed many great friends and so many wonderful activities together. But nothing brought them more joy than you, their family, and especially their 3 daughters. When Karen and Marilyn and then Ellie entered into their lives, the Bleiweiss family portrait became more beautiful and so much more complete. The Bleiweisses initially settled on East Groveland in Beechwood, but in 1956, Jason was offered an opportunity with Dow Chemical, and so the family moved to Midland, Michigan. After 7 years in Midland, yet another remarkable opportunity was presented to Jason and the family. and Dow offered Jason a position in Tarragona, Spain. And so the Bleiweiss family packed up and moved to Spain, an adventure that proved to be life-changing for the entire family. In speaking with his daughters, I learned that the years spent in Spain were among Jason's happiest and best times. He and Laura embraced this epic adventure with open arms, and Jason in his later years could vividly recall cafes and restaurants and historic spots throughout Spain that obviously captured a special place in his heart. When the family's experience in Spain came to a close, they moved back to Midland. Well, Karen went on to college, for she swore she would never go back to Midland. And Dow Chemical kept Jason very busy as a world traveler as he continued designing plants for Dow in Indonesia, China, Colombia, Japan. He remained a trusted employee at Dow until the time of his retirement. And retirement for Jason and Laura, it seems it did not mean slowing down. They moved to Florida, first to Boca and then Boynton Beach. And in their 55 years of marriage, Jason and Laura enjoyed many interests and passions. They loved music. Music always filled the Bleiweiss home. And they attended concerts, and they were great supporters and lovers of the arts. Jason and Laura enjoyed playing bridge with their friends, and together they appreciated beauty and nature, and they were sailors. Jason loved to sail, and perhaps Laura tolerated that, but she went along with him, of course. And they enjoyed sailing on their boat, the Laria. Now, the Laria was the name of Jason's favorite restaurant in Spain, and it also had quite a strong resemblance to the name of his favorite gal. Sailing provided Jason not only with an amazing activity to enjoy with his beloved bride, but it also provided him with another special group of friends, his fellow sailors. And in mentioning his sailing pals, I have to mention Jason's dearest friend, his buddy, Wick Allen. Wick and Jason were colleagues at Dow. They were sailing buddies and great supporters and fans of the arts. Laura and Jason, along with Wick and his wife Margaret, enjoyed so many great times together. Theirs was a unique and wonderful friendship. But the time spent with their children, the family trips, holiday and celebratory gatherings, these were the best of times. And the moments spent with their grandchildren, well, these were their most precious times of all, as they absolutely adored each and every one of you. The grandchildren were, of course, the jewels in their family crown. With Laura's passing in 2001, this, of course, left a devastating void in Jason's heart. About a year or so after Laura's passing, he decided that he might be ready to date again, and he met Penny. And for 15 years, Penny was Jason's constant companion. They shared many good and happy times together, and when Jason's health began to fail, Penny was always there for him, caring for him. Jason was also not just father to 3 bright and talented daughters, but because of them, he was a father-in-law, more likely a dad, to 3 equally wonderful sons-in-law, Sherman, Bruce, and Joe. Each of you enjoyed a special relationship with your father-in-law, and the path to this relationship may have been varied and may have taken some different twists or turns for each of you, but you each knew the moment. You knew the moment when you felt his sincere affection and respect and love. That moment when he looked at you and you knew that you were welcomed not just as a son-in-law, but as a son. And Jason's children and grandchildren will always remember a man who felt that education was the greatest gift any parent could give their children. And they knew a man who understood beauty through the lens of his camera, in his earlier years through the stroke of his brush on the canvas, or through the sounds of a well-played instrument. They knew a father and a grandfather who actually understood how to work a slide ruler. They knew and loved a man who made the best pickles and who could find beauty in just about anything. As a matter of fact, once while traveling through Rhode Island with Joe, Jason saw rows and rows of smokestacks billowing, and who knows what was going into the atmosphere, but gazing upon the smokestacks, Jason remarked to Joe, "Beautiful, just beautiful." A chemical engineer's take on the gracefulness of a smokestack. And so his children, his grandchildren, and his 4 very special and sweet great-grandchildren have known and will continue to hear the stories of a man who, above all, loved his family more than anything else. With his great sense of humor, his dry sense of humor, and all of his beautiful relationships, with his caring and giving heart, we recall a man who was a dedicated son and brother, a nephew and cousin, and of course, a loving and devoted husband and father and grandfather, and a very special friend to so many. We reach out and say, as our sages would say, Zichron livrach, may the memory of Jason Bleiweiss always be a blessing. Amen. We're taught by our tradition that words which come from the heart enter directly to the heart. And so there are some members of the family that have words and feelings in their heart that they want to share with us today. First, I'd like to call on his daughter, Karen.
I'm just the eye candy.
That's how we like
Right. Dad, the last time I was with you a couple of weeks ago, it was evening, you were tired, and I sat and held your hand. I told you that for a guy who never grew up with his father, you had turned out to be a most wonderful father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. You said, "Thank you." I am the one who wants to thank you for the treasures you have given me for being my father. The gift of home. In the last month at the rehab center, you kept saying how you wanted to go home. When the doctor asked you where you were, you said, Cleveland, Shaker. You asked for your sister, Irene. I understood that for you, home was where family was. Among your papers, Marilyn found a photo album with photos of graves of our family that Ellie and Aunt Bev put together. Carl Bleiweiss, Grandma Fanny, many Katzes, because Mom's family was your family as well. And all your cousins who were like siblings, now back in Cleveland. You are with them. You are home. The gift of family. I understood that more than a place for you, home is family. So here we all are. All the sisters, our husbands, even Joe, all your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren. We came to your home to be with you, to send your soul back to its home. Thank you, my dear cousins, for being here. Dad loved you, his nieces and nephews, and was touched when I told him how concerned you were for his health. Dad, as I look out at your family here, 3 generations, I would say you instilled a beautiful legacy, that family is the bedrock of life. I want to mention family members who told me they wanted to be here but were unable. Cousins Julie and Honey, Aunt Bev, my dearest Esther, Bubby, and Rita. The gift of work ethic. Your work ethic got you into competitive public schools, won you scholarships at Case, and led to career advancement at Dow. It actually, as Cantor Kathy has told us, led to the love of your life, Laura, younger sister of your study club friend, Uncle Sidney. So, working hard can lead to unexpected treasures. You worked hard all of your life for us. Thank you. We value the gift of being able to work hard and to achieve. The gift of courage and adventure. Courage to face life without a father, courage to go to war and fight for your country, courage to go to Midland to work for Dow, leaving Cleveland and your family behind, for professional advancement and adventure. Courage to go to Europe with our family, even though Grandma Fanny asked me to persuade you not to go because they hated Jews there. I am glad you ventured out. You literally opened the world to me. Thanks for teaching me that it's okay to love home and also to leave it, to explore the world, to embrace the foreign. You showed courage after Mom died, playing bridge at Coral Lakes, coming to France and Switzerland with Sherman and Mikey and Marilyn and me, finding companionship with Penny on cruises at cultural events, and shared love of travel, cooking, and welly. The gift of athleticism. I have such a wonderful memory of you. I was a little girl on summer evenings, the days were long, watching my handsome father playing softball. It comes back to me every single time I play tennis in my summer league. Thank you, Sherman, Bruce, and Mikey for keeping Dad company watching the ball games he loved. The gift of culture. You loved music, art, museums, the ballet. Devin asked me, so why did Grandpa listen to classical music all the time? I told her I didn't know, but when, as a teenager, I asked if I could have some rock and roll records like my friends, he said no. They were not of good quality. They would ruin the diamond needle on his turntable. So, thanks to you, I learned to play the piano and make my own music, as did Ellie, and we thank you for the gifts of appreciating culture. The gift of learning new things. All your life, you loved learning new things, hard things, technical things. You learned to sail, but that was not sufficient. You mastered celestial navigation, which was a fun challenge for your keen mathematical mind. Our entire family is driven by intellectual curiosity, a fine legacy from you. Dad, it is unlikely I will ever master celestial navigation, but I don't have to. You are my true north, my guiding light, my star. That is where I now look for you, up in the sky, lighting up the path of my life. As I told you, for a guy who never had a father, you surely turned out to be a star of one.
Thank you. In representing thoughts from the grandchildren, I'd like to call on his granddaughter, Devin.
Should call my kids up here to figure out where I put things. All right, thank you. Okay. Okay. So as I have been thinking about what I wanted to say today, I realized, sorry. That I found myself coping with the extreme sadness and sense of loss I feel by thinking of all of the reasons that I'm grateful for the 39 years I had with my grandfather. So I thought I would share my feelings of gratitude with you all. First of all, I feel very lucky to have had 39 years with you, and to have shared my wedding and my 2 children with you. To that end, I'm very grateful for my Grandma Laura and her slightly anxious, us cats relatives get it honest, care of Grandpa, such that he was able to maintain his health and be with us so long. I'm grateful for the 39 years of memories I have with you. Those include sailing on your sailboat, and getting popcorn at the Bay City Yacht Club, playing the water game Mousetrap on your porch, going to City Dairy in Midland and getting what seemed like ice cream cones the size of my head in flavors like Blue Moon, which was my favorite, and Superman, which was Justin's favorite. Eating Michigan cherries every time we would visit you. Spending the 4th of July at the golf course watching fireworks down the street from your house. Learning to tie sailing knots with your dear friend Wick. Of you calling me Paleface every time I would show up to visit in Florida. I can hear his voice, Devin, Paleface. And then hanging out with me at the pool as I tried to collect my tan. Of you and Grandma's visits to Santa Fe every Thanksgiving, or at least in my mind it was every Thanksgiving. Cultivating my belief that my birthday, which is a week or so before the holiday, is actually a week-long event where the entire family, of course, comes to celebrate, and sitting in your green living room in Midland listening to classical music. I'm grateful to you for your particular sense of things, such as wanting to make sure I knew how to use the specific scientific calculator you knew was the best, and then making sure I owned one long before I actually had any use for it. I'm grateful to you for sitting me down with your stock books to make sure I understood the market and which stocks were the best. I'm grateful to you for indulging my penchant for lobster and making sure I had it every single birthday I was with you and every single visit I made to you. I'm grateful to you for putting family first and raising a generation of loving and warm daughters who continue your legacy with the next generation. You've given my children the gift of an amazing grandmother who was wise enough to choose a husband who is an amazing grandfather to my children, and they're pretty awesome parents too. Finally, I'm grateful to you for your love, care, and absence of judgment and acceptance of me and my family, although we did have a few words over whether or not Carson should be Carson Laura or Laura Carson. No, but Grandpa Jason thought your name should be Laura Carson. The time that he told me I was too smart to be a psychologist and I really needed to be a psychiatrist. Working or engineer, yes. Well, that was long gone then. And working to get to know my husband, with whom you shared a love of both baseball and the water, and cultivating a warm and loving relationship with my children, who always look forward to seeing you. I'd like to end with a letter that Grant wrote to his great-grandfather. Did you get all the pages? I got all the pages. I just need to find it. Here we go. Thank you, Grant. Yep, you got it. Right here. I think it... Does it start here? Okay. I wish you a very happy rest of the world and your life to you, great Grandpa Jason. This is one of the saddest moments of my life and one of the gladdest moments of my life too. I will look forward to seeing you at the funeral. You are always with me and I am always with you when I visit Cleveland more times too. Hugs and lots of kisses, Grant.
Thank you, Carson. Thanks for helping.
Thanks for this.
We know that Jason loved music, and I think all of us can agree that while words enter into our heart and fill our spirit, music has an even more powerful effect. Ellie is now going to share with us, also from her heart, a medley of Scottish tunes. And the music, the love, the passion that they shared for not just violin music, but all kinds of music. I know, Ellie, you said that music was such a prominent part of growing up in your home. Thank you, Ellie. And finally, we call on his daughter, Marilyn, who has words to share with us.
I was very grateful that my dad waited for me to arrive before he died, which my mother also did, which I found to be one of the greatest gifts they could have given me. The last day of his life, he was surrounded by people who loved him, my entire family, including the little ones, who I felt very blessed that they had parents who could have raised them to be in the presence of someone who is passing out of this world and be curious and loving and wonderful. And Alex was there and Rita, and there was so much love in that room. And my dad was trying to leave ambivalently, kind of like his mother before him. And we helped him leave. And Jonathan and I spent the night with him, and I think he just kind of needed somebody there, but not too close, so that he could pass. And he passed gently. He passed gently and peacefully, and I'm very grateful for that. And I thought that it was noteworthy that he passed with the daughter with whom he had had the most difficult relationship, and also the grandson with whom he had had the most difficult relationship. When my mother was dying, and we were each of us daughters spending time with her when we could, spelling one another, I think that was the moment when my dad finally seemed to appreciate the woman I had become. And I could appreciate my dad, who had always been there through my darkest hours, and he would swoop in, he would rescue me, and he never looked back. I never heard about it. I never heard about my failures. And at that point in my life, as a parent, I was struck by the graciousness, the love, the ability to just keep going forward, to be there and keep going forward. And it, I think, has helped me to have more of the grace of graciousness in my dealings with people, and to move forward with love in my heart. And I'm grateful for that. I wanted to read a few lines from T.S. Eliot's Four Quartets, lines that have been really important to me and I think would be meaningful for my dad too. Home is where one starts from. As we grow older, the world becomes stranger, the pattern more complicated of dead and living. A lifetime burning in every moment, of old stones that cannot be deciphered. History may be servitude. History may be freedom. See now, they vanish, the faces and places, with the self which, as it could, loved them, to become renewed, transfigured in another pattern. Words move, music moves, only in time, but that which is only living can only die. Words after speech reach into the silence. Only by the form, the pattern, can words or music reach the stillness.
Thank you, Marilyn. The family's asked that I share a song with you, a very beautiful song that I believe was made popular during the Second World War. It's a song that speaks of the love we have for people who are still here with us on this earth, and also the love we have for those who have gone before us. I'll be seeing you in all the old familiar places that this heart of mine embraces all day through. In that small cafe, the park the children's carousel, the chestnut trees, the wishing well. I'll be seeing you in every lovely summer's day, in everything that's light and gay. I'll always think of you that way. I'll find you in the morning sun, and when the night is new, I'll be looking at the moon, but I'll be seeing you. We take a moment of silence as we ask God to accept Jason's soul. As you are able, I invite you to rise for El Malei Rachamim, the memorial prayer. El Malei Rachamim, shochen bamromim, amsei menucha nechona, tachat kanfei chashchina, b'malot kedoshim utorim, kezohar harakia mazhirim, et nishmat Yosef ben Kadosh v'feger Rivka, שהלך לעולמו בגן עדן תחי מנוחתו. אהנה בעל הרחמים אסתירהו, בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, ותצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתו. אדוני הוא נחלתו, וינוח בשלום על משכבו, ונאמר Amen. O merciful God, who dwells on high, who is full of compassion, grant perfect rest beneath the shelter of your divine presence among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament. To Jason Bleiweiss, Yosef ben Kadosh v'Fege Rivka. To Jason, who has now gone to his eternal home, may his soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. Grant that his memory inspire us to noble and consecrated living, and to this we all say, Amen. Friends, you can be seated. Just a couple brief announcements. Following the interment at the Mount Olive Cemetery, the family will receive visitors today at the home of Dr. Ken and Celine Weiss. The address is 2395 Halcyon in Beechwood. Visitation will be until 5:30 this evening. For those of you wishing to make a contribution in memory of Jason, the family has considered that you consider one of the three, either the Green K Nature Center in Florida, or the foundation known as Levine Music, or perhaps the Case Institute of Technology Scholarship Fund. On behalf of the entire family, we thank you for being here on this sad but very important day.
I ask those who are pallbearers to step forward.